Very well, thank you. And how is everything with you?
Everything is going great. I was thinking about a topic, and the topic that I came up with was something that everybody deals with, but they may not be aware. So I wanted to talk about, Jesus said when Mary and Joseph were looking for him, why did you leave us and why weren't you with everyone else? And he said, didn't you know that I must be about my Father's business? So, of course, today's topic is the Father's business. And we'll talk about what is the Father's business. So, in talking about what is God's business for us individually?
Very simple. He gave you, choose this day, and then he told you, they themselves are makers of themselves. So what's going on outside around you is secondary, because actually it's all secondhand. It was only real as idea, and you can have any idea. You can choose any thought to think upon, and as you think, you are, you do, you have, you be. It seems to me that that's a very, very simple thing to get used to doing in your own mind now and then. I know you're not on all the time, but actually you are on all the time. I have to go with Shakespeare's claim that I can teach 20 what were good to be done rather than to be one of the 20 to take my own instruction. But nevertheless, that's what you must do. Take your own instruction. It's your way out. It's to the Lord belongs. Escape. It's your way out through your own mind. Use it wisely. Don't you think that's a good idea?
I think it's an outstanding idea. And the funny thing is, as you were speaking pertaining to the Father's business, I think that it's easy to hear what was just communicated and miss it. Because what we say to ourselves is, I've heard that before, but you didn't hear what was just said in the context of in which it was said. And I think that we can miss the meaning of what you just communicated.
The whole thing is that you have to reiterate this idea again and again if you're going to understand it, because it has avenues that are not apparent when you first hear the idea. And it goes on and on. It expands and expands and expands. And that's what you're supposed to do, expand your world. And you do that through mind. As within, so without. So if you want to be all of it, you can be. You are. Wake up. That's all we have to do is to wake up. But it's quite a process for everyone. I mean, everyone will do it eventually, but why wait? Now is the appointed hour. It's always now.
I think you're absolutely correct. And, it goes back to what we were just discussing. When you look through the New Testament, especially when you're looking at the four Gospels, Jesus said that he was always about his Father's business. And so we think upon that as religious talk, that he was always out evangelizing, he was always out feeding. But what Jesus realized and what you realize is that whatever we're doing, we're about the Father's business. Would you agree?
That's it. You're on all the time. Do you know what you're doing while you're on all the time? See, that's it. You have to listen to what you're talking to yourself about. That's eventually going to be your world of experiencing. You see, I know you get the false idea that I had for a long time, that it's falling into the past what you have said. But you see, it isn't. Subconscious mind listens in. Every word must be accounted for. And it winds up being your world, even if you were aware of what you were thinking about or not. That's kind of the tricky point there. that you're on all the time. You're creating constantly. But what? Look what's going on right now. The creating of disaster for themselves and for other people. It's always up to the individual as you think you are. Now, don't worry about what they're doing or anyone else is thinking. What are you thinking? Because that's what you will be experiencing, what you're thinking. If it's your idea, fine. If it's somebody else's idea and you approve of it, fine too. But just remember, you're on all the time. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. And the evidence is you're experiencing, your everydayness. Did you choose this day, or was it chosen for you? The question you have to ask yourself.
You know, and it's funny because what I realized, I was chatting in the Facebook group. I was responding to somebody's post, and the young man had put a post out there. Donald had put a post about, your enemy is only your enemy, and I'm paraphrasing what he said because I'm not looking at it, but he said your enemy is only your enemy because you think it's so, and somebody responded and said, wow, you know, and it's true. You know, the world will always give us an opportunity to hate, to love, but the choice is ours, and this is what you've been saying continuously, you know, that the choice is ours, and so if we just look at the world and we begin to react to it, the only thing we're going to reproduce is more of whatever the world's putting out. Would you agree?
Yes, that's it. You know, that's it. Whatever you're focused upon, that's what you're involved in. And if you don't want to be involved in it, change your focus. You have thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. But what ones grab your attention? What one has your attention to the point of it being so? And it is. Whether you're aware it is or not, you're always on. And choose this day you're doing so, aware you're doing so or not. And even if not, well, others are making ideas, and you accept those. Always up to the individual. You don't need to belong to anything in this world but yourself. Because until you do belong to everything, it means nothing.
You know, somebody brought up an interesting topic recently, and they were talking about suicide. And the question was, you know, well, if we are gods, can a person choose to end their lives? And, of course, I told them that, of course, they could, you know, and I think that we've passed a judgment on the word suicide. So is it as evil as religion has made it out to be, or is it just a choice that a person makes to transcend this life to the next life? What are your thoughts on suicide?
Choose this day. That's what you were given. Do you choose to end it all? That's it. What are you looking for? What is it that you're missing that you want to take your life? Why are you missing it? It's offered. You can't imagine what's laid up for you to claim. That's all you have to do is claim it. And to claim it, you have to visualize it. And visualizing it continuously brings it about. As you think, you are. Think about suicide. If you think about it long enough, it'll happen. And what will it accomplish? That's really the kicker, man. Nothing. Doesn't accomplish nothing. The way you go is the way you start. It's ongoing. I am with you always. I will never leave you. I suffer with you, but you behold me not. There it is. You got the whole ball of wax right there. Just unravel it for yourself. That's what you have to do. You have to do it for yourself. You can listen to it. You can hear it. You can hear it sung. You can hear it over and over. But it is you who has to understand it. Because that's the freedom you're looking for, is your understanding the very simple idea that as you think, you are.
You said something in the as you were talking about suicide, and you said, the way that you end it is the way that you start. And so many people think that suicide is the end, but it's not the end. It's the beginning of something else. And it's like a seed being sown into the ground. Jesus says, you sow a seed in the ground, the seed dies. And then because that seed dies, it reproduces and multiplies some 10-fold, 20, 30, 100-fold. Even when a person thinks that they're killing themselves, energy doesn't die, it just changes forms. And you're manifested into a different lifestyle, as it were. Some people want to call that reincarnation, but energy never dies. And that's what people need to understand. So Scripture says that if you die a fool, for example, then you'll regenerate yourself as a fool. You often talk about there's no redeeming factors in death.
There's no change until you change. What you change, changes. What you don't change stays the same. Time slot after time slot after time slot. Because nothing dies, but nothing changes until the individual changes. Whatever you think about life, that's what you're reproducing in your world of experiencing. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Man. Male, female. Nobody gets out. Everybody gets in. And it's about every child born of woman. So, you're on all the time. Use it wisely. Enjoy life. You're the light of the world. Lighten up a little.
You said nothing changes until the individual changes. In last talk, I asked the question. I said, what was the ultimate end of human existence? And you said, I am. And it really goes back to that point. People think that, of course, because they call themselves ending this life, for example, the energy, as I stated earlier, that you had in this existence carries over to the next existence, whatever that looks like. It really comes back to them choosing heaven on earth now.
Yeah, no, what does it say? Now is the appointed hour. Choose now. You're choosing now, right now. What are you choosing? Is it lovely and of good report? If it isn't, why isn't it? You're choosing what you're thinking, or you're not paying attention and you're choosing lost in thought. And as I've said before, that can be anything from uncomfortable to disastrous. Always be aware of what you're doing, because you are the doer doing. You're either fixing it or breaking it. And you suffer the consequences. And there are always trade-offs. There are ramifications. And if they're not considered, it all seems like a wild surprise to you, and yet you thought it all up, or it wouldn't have happened. As you think, you are. You do, you have, you be. It's really that simple, but it takes focus. It takes paying attention. Because what has your attention has your life.
Now, in talking about this subject, we'll move beyond, of course, suicide, because it actually applies to everything. Someone said to me, if people understood this information, isn't it dangerous? Because if a person thinks that, of course, the only thing that they need to do is, kill themselves to end their problems, which, of course, we know that doesn't end the problems, wouldn't more people end up ending their lives? And I said, not at all. I said, if a person truly understands who he is, who she is, if they understand that they're creators and they can create any world that they imagine, wouldn't that empower them